All right, guys. Everybody full, rested? Yeah. Feeling better? Ready to get this run? It's been a while. I know we're taking our time. It's a nice day, guys. If you guys don't know, my name is Hank. I'm the one that lives here. Combined with Joe and Little Games, this event has been an idea that has been being worked on for months now. And it's so nice to see all the support, all of you guys showing up, and just the community coming together to make this happen. If you want to come up on stage, Joe, or Games, no pressure, but this actually started basically on a space, if I don't recall. And it's, just us going, why isn't there ever a Cosmos related event here in the United States? It's always somewhere really, really far. And for a lot of us, it's a lot of money to go to those destinations, right? A lot of us have families, kids, and we're based here. So we were talking on space, and we just, thought of the idea and said, hey, why don't we just do it? Like, let's not talk about it, let's just do it. One thing led to another. I was blessed to have these guys as friends and have them willing to team up with me because they're doing, this man right here, he runs Alpha Spaces along with the entire team. He works with Stargaze. You're just a grinder. I don't even know how you're awake right now.
To be honest, I don't know how I'm awake either, but this is keeping me alive right now. But no, for real, I just feel super happy to be here, and I appreciate everybody's support. All the sponsors helped chip in for this event. It's so great to be here. Appreciate it.
Yep. Joe, did you have anything on to add?
Yeah, I think on that space that Tank's referring to, we were talking about how the NFT projects, the NFT creators are actually the small businesses that are building, and how there aren't enough in real life events, not enough IRL events, definitely not enough in the United States. So really happy for the people that were able to attend, and definitely thankful for the sponsors that they came through, they made it happen, and hopefully many more after this.
NFTs are not dead, all right? NFTs are not
No,
dead.
if anything, we're very much alive. Very much alive. We say it all the time on spaces that we're on. We really do honestly believe this, that the NFT community is one of the most engaging, one of the most lively parts of the Cosmos ecosystem, and even beyond the Cosmos, right? With ICS 721, when we voted for that to really work on it, and then nothing ever happened, it was really frustrating because we see it Stargaze. Where's all that activity? Stargaze, right? Hands down. If you're not swapping to another token, it's on Stargaze. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. You guys all know it. And so we were like, let's actually get that narrative out there. Let's actually start innovating on NFTs, not just of what they were, because, we all went through it and it was fun, PFP, all this other stuff. Yeah, the hype and stuff like that. But there were some groups out there like Gelato and like everybody else. And actually, I just want to take a moment. First and foremost, Stargaze and the Stargaze team, when we came up with this idea, it wasn't even a question. They came out and supported us so fast. There you are, so fast. And it was amazing. We were so grateful for you guys. And then right after was Gelato. I mean, they came in so quick with that support as well. And so, and a lot of others as well. So I just want to read them off. I know you guys have been seeing it, but I just want to say thank you to Stargaze, Gelato, Astrovault, Bad Kids, OmniFlix, Game of Nodes, Wanta Club, OhhNFT. I'm so old. I gotta blow this up a little bit. Atlas NFT. By the way, that was such a great community funding. If you guys know with Jacob, the Juno Network, anonymously, people within the Juno Network sponsored him in this project, but they didn't want any credit at all. They just thought that this man and this project needed to be there and needed to be part of this. And that was I still don't know who it was. It was a bunch of people, I still don't know who it was, but that was beautiful to see that. Cosmos Spaces, obviously, Women from Cosmos, Interblock, Terra Spaces, Maneki Neko, which you guys know, that's my little baby. Rock FM, NFT Happy Hour, Jackal, Signal. Oh, by the way, all this beautiful stuff happened from Signal.
The website, this Signal.
Yeah, everything, the logos, all this stuff, that was him. He's a brilliant guy. All of them are really. And Crypto Dungeon. I don't think I missed anybody.
Sorry if we did miss somebody. There's a lot of sponsors.
Yeah.
I think you got most of them though, right?
Yeah, and a few of them. It's on the team. I think I did miss one.
think you said
Rock
Rack.
FM. It's not Rock. You gotta remember Rock FM and Rock.
Terra Spaces
Are different.
right?
Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody now, and I don't want to miss somebody right now. Timmy, yeah, Timmy's
Timmy.
What's that guy? What is it?
Yeah, right there.
Alpha Bro, thank you. There you go. Coming in and clutch in the last moment as well. So again, we apologize. A lot of this was done by signal early in advance, but we really do appreciate you guys. Again, guys, this is just us, like, taking the steps and taking the initiative ourselves to make these kind of events happen. It doesn't always have to be some big blown out community spend. None of this was from a community pool. This was all sponsors and grassroots from the bottom up because of all of you guys. And that, we just really want to show people that we can do this in a sustainable, maintainable, realistic way, and where, we can really show and highlight the power of NFTs and what we're doing, what NFTs are going to become. It doesn't have to just be PFPs or nice art, which is great, which is obviously really great. But we're going to be much, much more. Like you saw Eric them talking about, it's going to be much, much more. We really do believe that. And so we really appreciate all of you guys being here for our first ever NFT NASHVILLE. We are going to be moving in. The idea is to be moving in on the Bitcoin conference, which is going to be here next year here in Nashville. So if you guys want to have your tickets for that, if you've never been,
Might be a lot more money than this is on, that's for sure.
yeah, but we're gonna make it happen regardless. So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. I know these guys really appreciate it as well. With that being said, do we have anything on this?
One more thing, if you guys haven't, claimed your badge, we have this over here. You can claim your badge for NFT NASHVILLE, and I think we'll put up another one over there by that art piece with Phoenix. Yep.
But with that being said, Shane, if you're ready, I think it's Shane, right? It's Shane.
Yeah,
Okay. Yep. We got Shane from Stargaze.
Got the big hat.
The bigger hats, the big top.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Really great to be amongst friends over here. Bobo, what are you doing up here? All right, I guess he's gonna join me as well. Give me some support. All right. So recently there has been a lot of talks about perps. There's a lot going on as Stargaze. There's a lot I can talk about. But recently I've just been kind of nerding out on like financialization of NFTs.
Yeah.
And with the recent launch of DYDX and Levana, perps are kind of top of mind. And I've just been kind of exploring how to kind of bring that to NFTs. So I'm just going to talk about it from a context of NFTs. So who here trades perps? All right, a couple of people. But like, do you guys actually know how perps work?
Not entirely.
Yeah. All right. Good. So, all right. So hopefully, people will learn a couple things here today. All right. So what? All right. So perps are kind of similar to futures that you have in TradFi. The way a future works is that, let's say you want to go long on an asset, you would lock that asset in at a low price, and then it settles at some point in the future, and hopefully that asset goes up in price, and then you make some money in the future. But you don't actually have to own that asset. Perps is kind of the crypto native version of it. The derivatives market is actually way bigger than the spot market. It's something like 80-20. But most of us, I believe in this room, we trade NFTs, and that happens in the spot market. But the derivatives market is actually kind of bigger, right? And if you want to grow, we kind of have to look at these kind of products and build these new products. So a perp is basically a directional bet, long or short, with no settlement date. You can trade with leverage without owning the underlying asset. And so, for example, this is kind of a contrived example here. Let's say Bitcoin is like, I don't know, 100,000, but you don't have that much money. You can do 100x leverage for $1 and do a trade treating it as if you had $100, right? So if Bitcoin doubles in price, you can make $100 with only one, right? So that's kind of a contrived example, but that's kind of how a perp works. So you can amplify your gains, but you can also amplify your losses, and you can get liquidated. So it's kind of risky. So this is kind of like the anatomy of a perp. You have the mark price, which is the price of the perp itself. You have the index price, which is the spot price, or in context of NFTs, the floor price. If this is on Stargaze, you don't have to get the data from an oracle because it's already there. But let's hypothetically say there's a perp product on Stargaze, you would need some kind of oracle to get the price. So, like, let's say we're dealing with CryptoPunks, you'll have to get the price from some kind of oracle. The margin is the collateral. This is what you will lose if you get liquidated. And then there's this thing called a funding fee, which is the mark price minus the index price. So one way to kind of think about it is like a thermostat. In a thermostat, you have the actual temperature, let's say it's like 82 outside, and the desired, let's say you want it 72. You have this AC power, and the power goes on, and then once the desired temperature reaches the actual, then the power goes off, right? So that's kind of the way to kind of think about the funding rate. And the way the funding fee works is that if it's greater than 0, the longs pay the shorts, and if it's less than 0, the shorts pay the longs. So this is the kind of the incentive structure to keep the perp price kind of close to the spot price. And this is usually paid out per day. It depends on the exchange. Some do it like every 8 hours, every 6 hours. And then the more expensive the perp gets relative to the underlying asset, the more the longs have to pay the shorts. And so in that case, you would sell the long and decrease the price and try to balance out the system. So another way to think about it is profit and loss loan. So let's say Bitcoin is at 100K. Alice wants to long one Bitcoin and Bob wants to short one. Let's pretend that Alice bought one Bitcoin from Bob for 100K, and when the price changes, you want to settle it in cash, right? And in this case, losses are debt, and there's going to be 100% per day of interest. And now let's say Bitcoin jumps to 110K the next day, right? Alice now is in 10K of profit, and Bob has to pay her $400 in interest because it's 10K divided by 24, because it's 100% interest per day, and then they settle, so he has to pay her 10K as well. So that's just like another way to think about a perp as a profit and loss loan. And here you can just kind of visualize it a little bit. You have the index price over there at the top, the mark price at the bottom, and the difference between them is Alice's unrealized profit and loss, and then the funding rate over there is the debt payment. All right, so I know I kind of went through that a little fast, but hopefully you guys have a bit more of an understanding of what a perp is. So now let's talk about why you want to do this stuff. So sometimes people are boring and they're not into art or culture, and they don't want to own NFTs. Maybe they just want to trade, right? Maybe they're just into trading. Another maybe advantage for some of these folks is when there's no ownership, there's no royalties either, right? But there's a funding fee, so it's not. It doesn't. There are still other fees involved. For some people, owning a bad kit might be too expensive. Maybe they only have like $10 to work with. And the other thing is you can use leverage, right? So you only have money for one bad kid, but you can act like you have 10. It's also good for whales, right? There could be a whale that actually has more capital than like the entire like market cap of a collection, right? So then they can trade perps and not have to worry about affecting the stock market. And you can do a couple other things. You can short, you can hedge, and we already talked about leverage, right? So there's these 3 new things that you can do with perps. So let's talk about hedging a bit. I know there's a lot of text here. But let's say Alice owns a bad kit with the floor price is 50K stars, right? But she wants to hedge the downside risk of the floor price going down. What she can do is she can open a short worth 50K, but she doesn't actually have to have all the 50K. She can just use 5K with 10x leverage. And now let's say bad kit drops to 40K. Her bad kit loses value, but her short position goes up in value, and they even out. So there's no value lost, right? And then the opposite also works. If bad kit goes up in value to 60K, now she has a 10K loss on her perp with no value loss. And this is called being delta neutral. So this is like a strategy that's employed by hedge funds and other financial institutions, and now it can be available for people who play around with crypto as well. Another kind of thing you can do that's a bit more advanced is you can combine NFT perps and regular token perps. For example, like DYDX or like Solana, right? Let's say you want to hedge against the stars price going down. So we know bad kits, for example, is priced in stars, and Bob wants to hedge against stars going down. But he also doesn't want to own a bad kit, right? He's just a trader. He's just very cold-hearted. He only wants to trade. So he goes long on the bad kit's perp, and but then he also opens a short, let's say on Solana, which is in the process of adding stars. He can go short with 10x leverage, and then if stars goes down, he makes a profit on the short, but loses on the back that's long, and again, this kind of evens out delta neutral. All right, so how does this work? Well, being in Cosmos, we have app chains, and app chains are kind of perfectly suited to building perps products. So this is why, for example, DYDX chose to launch an app chain. The validator set is like a built-in oracle. The validators have access to the rest of the world. They can go out and get price data. So let's say, hypothetically say, Stargaze builds a perps product, and it works with CryptoPunks, right? The validators can go and get the price for the CryptoPunks. They can come into consensus and figure out the price. There's this new thing called ABCI++ was recently added with vote extensions. That's something that can be used to get price feeds. Also, when you get liquidated in a perps product, if it's built on Ethereum or Solana, we have these entities, these off-chain entities called keepers that get a little cut for liquidating you, right? In Cosmos, you don't have to do that. There's a way to run autonomous code in the background that can process the liquidations, so then the protocol can earn 100% of the revenue. So this is also probably why DYDX chose to build an app chain. So there's no, so you don't need any kind of off-chain processes in this. All right, so there's a lot of risk involved, especially with NFTs. So NFTs have their own kind of risk, right? But the floor is easy to manipulate. A whale can open up a short perp, and they can go and like crash the spot floor price. So the design of these has to be mindful of this, right? So you have to do kind of, maybe you can have like a time weighted average for the index price for the floor. You can remove outliers. You can identify wash trading. Another way to kind of help with this is the index price can use the price from fractional NFT shares instead, because these are the actual kind of assets that's traded. It's not just like the bids and the asks that's in a marketplace. So there's a lot more other risks, there's smart contract risk and a bunch of others, but just kind of wanted to outline these over here. So when I'm not even going to talk about this, you know, we have a lot of things planned, and yeah, if you guys, you know, are curious more about this stuff, you can follow Stargaze, you can follow me or just ping me and ask any questions. So yeah, kind of a nerdy talk, but hopefully people learn some stuff. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for that, Shane. When is that coming to Stargaze?
When, yeah.
I think he said December 20 something. All right, so next week, okay. Next week. All right. We have another speaker coming to the stage to talk about Quantum Club. It's an NFT collection for the Archway blockchain. Eric, you coming up again? Yeah. Cool. All right.
Hey guys, real quick as well, don't forget if you guys still have drink tickets, or want to get some remaining food, please do so now because we're gonna have to start cleaning up real quick right after.
One second. What do you think it's something? Nashville, gotta do something NFTs, right? Real reason we're all here. And it's been awesome getting a chance to meet all of you guys. Love the presentations. Shane, great job. Gelato, it was awesome watching you guys this morning. Excited to see what's really being built in the community by the community, because community is everything in crypto. We're doing a little something different. We teased it towards the end of our first presentation about astrovaults, in that we fully believe that NFTs in lots of forms are the future. And it would be dumb to build out businesses that don't incorporate that and don't maximize as many different revenue streams and give as many value add opportunities as we possibly can. So to showcase what cool NFT stuff we're going to make possible, what utility that we can give all of your guys' projects, we're going to launch our own, of course, to showcase it and to do it in perpetuity for our core members, which we'd love for you guys to be a part of. If you guys do download a badge, we are also going to give you a whitelist, so that you can qualify for getting the mint of the Quantum Club if you guys are interested. So Steph is here as the artist behind the Quantum Club, and she's outside not feeling well. Apologies, so I'm taking over this a bit last minute. But here's a little bit of the art. Backgrounds removed of some of the different factions we have in the Quantum Club, hoping that we've got something for everyone to feel a part of. So lots of different art, mostly space themes. There will be 369 of them. A little something for everyone. The idea is going to be that this is Astro Vault's one and only core
community NFT system. We have already built and will continue to build tons of utility, again, available for far more than Quantum Club. But Quantum Club will get first access, Quantum Club will get perpetual access, and Quantum Club will get the best access. This involves sharing free and available Jackal storage. This involves having available alter communications, the only provable private communication platform that exists that we already have built in with Astrovault. We're working on getting the toolbox available, get some old 2019 Cloud Exchange feelings. But we have lots more partnerships coming, more layer ones, more NFT projects just for the Quantum Club. But of course, by being built into Astrovault, we already have it set up so that once we get our token live, we can partner with any NFT product for any duration of time to offer boosted APR. So we can have NFT project of the month. Hey guys, let's bring the bad kids on. And maybe the bad kids can get a boosted 5% APR on every single pool. Maybe the bad kids can get a boosted 5% APR on just an X stars USDC pool. Whatever composability we want, whatever the deal is, we can offer. Say we have a project that you haven't heard of in a while, that people kind of think they're dead. They just like, hey, we're really trying. We got a roadmap. We're trying to get back on the map. Well, if they come and we make them the project of the month, then we're going to do secondary sales. I mean, if you're a big LP in that position, it might literally be profitable for you to purchase this NFT to get the boosted APR. We're going to drive secondary sales in this. We're going to bring marketing, bring biz dev, everything I said that we offer all of our liquidity clients, we can projects. So we can pick and choose who we offer, and we might be a bid. It might be a governance vote. At the very least, it's co-marketing, but at the most, it's really an additional revenue stream. We might say, hey, you're both good. Who's going to offer the most in royalties to the buyback and burn address of Astrovault? Who's going to put the Astrovault protocol home liquidity address as part of your royalties? How many NFTs are you going to give our community to give you this service? We don't have to, but we can. But this service is already built into Quantum Club. If you have a Quantum Club NFT, you can earn boosted APR in perpetuity on Astrovault, on any version of Astrovault going forward. Additionally, governance power. What can you do with a governance token? Well, you can govern what you do with that token for as long as there is more of that token with which you can govern it. Not anymore, that's not good enough. With AXV, you can stake AXV to earn Atom and vote in Atom governance proposals. We could have voted on Prop 16. We could have voted on Prop 638. Every other airdrop's like, oh, do I stake this airdrop or do I sell it for Atom? What if you can stake it for Atom? What if it's a protocol that's earning Atom that can relate to stakers? Well, how come it's always stakers that can vote, but not liquidity providers? Shouldn't the liquidity providers be able to vote in a DEX? Now you can. If you're liquidity providing X stars with AXV, you can vote on Astrovault's governance, and you can vote on Stargaze's governance. And if you have a Quantum Club NFT equipped, you get boosted voting power. People aren't doing this kind of stuff. It's very available, and it's baked into what we've done at Astrovault. It's not limited to Quantum Club. We want to offer that to all of your guys' projects that you presented today. But it's already going to be available first and foremost and in perpetuity to Quantum Club NFTs. So, it's not a very long field. Andy, do you want to add anything? Yeah, it's not a long field, just we built out a ton of NFT utility. We're going to continue to build a ton of NFT utility. A lot of people are focused on soulbound NFTs. I'm very, very focused and doing a decent amount of research right now on fungible NFTs, as ironic as that sounds, but that enables a bunch of new types of liquidity pools. I do a lot of tokenomics consulting. I'm working on several projects that will come to light in the next couple months. That will be really cool, that we will work to get integrated into Astrovault as well as we possibly can. But in general, similar to how fragmented NFTs will do a bunch of cool things. I'm stoked to work with that Gelato. Specifically fungible NFTs, where you can have bootstrap liquidity pools, where you can have concentrated liquidity pools, and where you can do weird things with governance, management, and there's so much stuff that hasn't even been set up yet. Through DAOs, through NFTs, we're pushing this research, we're pushing this development. Everything we come out with, more than what we've said so far, Quantum Club will get first access to and perpetual access to. So I hope you guys are interested. I hope you guys take up the whitelist and join us. We really want it to be people that care and people that use AstroVault. At the end of the day, at some point, especially if you're a liquidity provider, it's literally profitable to have one. If you want a gas-free experience on AstroVault, especially the gas fees are kind of high right now, we understand and we're working on it. So, yeah.
conflicts where the focus is NFTs, this becomes really important as it relates to governance and chain upgrades, things like that. So again, if anyone else is here, wants to come up, talk about their validator or validating in general, feel free. I'm gonna turn it over to Timmy. Louis, you're gonna come up? That's great, that's great. Absolutely, yep.
Test, test.
What's up?
You can all do it. Hello. All right, I'm not gonna stand up on stage because even with them sitting, they'll be just taller than me standing up. So unfortunately, it doesn't even matter if I go up there or not. All right, so hello. Appreciate everyone coming out here. I'm just a guest, just like everybody else. I ended up making a little side project, and I'm gonna have a QR code to be on the airdrop list if you choose to. I'm not gonna disclose what it is. It will be up to your own curiosity. I hope you guys would appreciate just filling out and see what happens. Thank you.
You've done a test kit. See if that works. Hold it over here for a minute. Alrighty, well, never been a host in person, so this is interesting. But a lot of you probably recognize my voice. A very warm welcome from Joe here. I'm Timmy. I've tended to be Timmy on Twitter. I kind of got involved with Cosmos and Twitter initially with hosting spaces and just like trying to foster discussion. So it's a little bit impromptu. I don't think we have a set agenda. I think we really want everyone to interact. So if you guys have questions on the stuff we're talking about, if just kind of open-ended here, we're just gonna kind of dive into some stuff. And then if you got a mic that's working, we only have 2, so we'll pass these around just as needed. So let's maybe start with just a quick introduction with each person, and obviously we've already done it, but as far as validation is concerned, and we start with
Eric, co-founder of AstroVault, we're validating several chains right now.
Brad from Crypto Dungeon, we've got 8 chains active right now, but do the same.
I'm Rizvi, a co-founder of Gelato, and we currently validate 11 chains.
I'm Luis Scott from Interblock. We have also Cosmos Shield and a bunch of other services.
Awesome. So all of you guys are validators that are not just pure validators, but obviously involved in, for 3 of you, the projects we've been talking about today, and then for you, like Cosmos Shield. Maybe we can start there with just sort of talking about how those two things work together. There's been discussion, some people feel like, not many, but I've heard the train of thought that validators should just validate, right? And not sort of have that cross-pollination, but I also think there's a lot of benefits. So maybe to kick it off, we can start, you have Mike, Louise. Did you start off with validating or start off with development? Which led to the other, and what's the sort of relationship as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, so we started with validating actually as more of a hobby. And to this day, validation is not a profitable business. You know, we do it more to support the chains we believe in and try to drive the vision forward of crypto, you know, of decentralization and access to crypto in general. So we have to offer other services, and even big validators like Notion was very big on this. They always say that you can't only be validation because for at least the last couple of years, it's not a profitable business. So, or at least sustainable, right? So you have to do other stuff. As I mentioned, we do Cosmos Shield, we actually help in support, we do some development work. But in general, validation is part of being integrated with genes and helping them, you know, realize the vision that they have. I think an NFT chain is only doing Stargaze with Validator, but in the end, it's more of aligning the vision of the chain with what we're doing and trying to make it a reality. And yeah, we subsidize those costs. There's this misconception that validators make a lot of money and they dump a lot of tokens. I was talking about this recently, like we don't even sell our tokens because it's not worth it to sell them right now. They're undervalued for the most part, so we don't even sell. So it's a service that's being subsidized. And I'm not actually a big fan of raising fees in general because I don't think having sub 1 cent fees it's a sustainable business model, and it's not even a good unique selling proposition for customers. We shouldn't differentiate ourselves of being cheap because nobody wants to, oh, I want to go there because it's cheap. No, I want to go there because there's stuff to do. There's NFT trading, there's perpetuals, there's good things to do. That's why I want to do it. So there should be a cost to it because otherwise it's unsustainable, like I mentioned, for validators, unless we want people that only extract value. So yeah, that's what we started. We started in validation, but it's definitely not a main core business for sure.
Real quick, just before you pass it, have you found that the other stuff you've done in the ecosystem is kind of able to maybe not fully subsidize or fully subsidize, but make it all seem worth it in the end, like
it makes
support you've gotten through Cosmos Shield and such?
Yeah, it makes it a little bit more sustainable, but in the end, you have to be in it for the long term. Otherwise, you're just gonna burn out and end up selling everything and abandoning chains like that. And some validators that validate, I don't know, 30, 40 chains, you see them eventually dump them, like dump the tokens and leave. And that's why we try to focus on, projects long term and try not to validate 30. Because you can do it. You can spin up nodes in Amazon Web Services and have a bunch of chains validating. But why are you doing it? Because you're just gonna dump the tokens and leave them. So yeah, those services without those probably would only be a hobby and not a real company. And which is fine if you want to do it as a hobby.
That's the case for most validators below a certain size on
Yeah, because
almost any.
that's how we start, right? But if you want to do it long term, you have to make it sustainable. Otherwise, why are you?
Awesome, yeah, let's hear from maybe Gelada. I'm curious, I think you guys started off with Gelada and then the validator was there sort of supported.
Yeah, we definitely started out building our products and other games and whatnot. And the way we kind of go about deciding what chains to go on is primarily based on will we be on that chain in the future, there's some vested interest of Gelato for that chain. You obviously can't be everywhere all the time, and even being part of governance takes a lot. There's a lot of props, a lot of discussion, a lot of things going on. So we try to strategically pick those places, and that's kind of where we landed today. So it's a great way to support the chain, support the network, and also from a project perspective, it's great marketing. The higher up you're on the chain, like, oh, what is that ice cream looking chain? You click on it, you see our link. So all these things together sort of help us decide where we should go and who we should support.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, keep it moving.
Yeah, you guys explained most of it pretty well. It's hard for me to add on to that, but reiterate that sentiment as far as we pick the chains that we are planning to work with and that have interesting projects that we're looking for. We can't do all of them, obviously, and it has started off as a hobby and then we've grown. And we're starting to get to be able to be self-sustaining, but yeah, it's not profitable per se, right? The goal is obviously to be profitable at some point, but it's more of a hobby as well, for sure. And then we'll build our projects on the chains that we're validating for. And there's no inherent link to our validator to the chain, right? If there's concern that we're validating and we have projects, we're not forcing anyone to delegate to us, right? They're not inherent, they're decoupled, sorry.
I personally actually started running full nodes back in like 2017 of different projects. Actually ran a first Cosmos-based validator before we started building NASHVILLE, but now as far as NASHVILLE goes, we're very much building and then needing to validate to grow our business. Even aside from any like financial aspect, obviously that's built into our protocol, but in order to offer our business sustainably, like relayer monitoring, you have to run to do it properly, you have to be able to run local nodes on there where it's aligned to. So it's needed to grow and scale the business, but also we want to make sure that we have a voice heard for our business and our community and governance. And we heard that's the best place to put out applications with cartel. So if anybody's hiring, we're actively looking at it.
Awesome. Okay, so something common amongst, actually real quick, so if anybody wants to ask a question or even just lend input at any point, I'll kind of keep my eye out for a hand and I'll come around and pass the mic. And you guys can jump right in. We really want everyone to be involved. Do you want to add something?
Now, good time.
Yeah, I was about to hit something, so go for it.
Hi, my name's Mark. Some people may or may not know me. I'd like to ask all four of you, you guys are a great spread to ask, what you all think of the post-human governance token, and if that is the future for validators, decentralizing the voting power as well as the validator operations.
I don't know if somebody knows more about that.
Yeah, I can talk about it a little bit. So to explain to everyone what post-human does is they have a token called PHNN, right? That distributes part of the validator income to the token holders. And they do a lot of stuff to bolster the token, and the token is actually pretty strong and that's a great performance. But I actually thought about that before, like, what if we distribute tokens? But the issue was being labeled as security, basically. Right? The moment you start distributing income, you run the risk of being labeled as security. So we didn't go that way, but post-human is Russian-based, I think, so don't worry about that. But I think it's a great model to actually make it as decentralized as possible. Because the risk is that and that's part of what drives us and makes us so hype about Stargaze is they're very focused on decentralizing the network, right? They have a very good interface with validation that allows it to have a random validator set and doesn't rank automatically by voting power. They have a delegation program that's very structured. So I think decentralization is probably the top issue to go the way that post-human has done it, and I think it's great. But I don't think most can do it from a legal standpoint. I think that's the way that it works, at least for us, but I don't know what else.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if any of you guys know off the top of your head, is Cleanmeat's token the same sort of thing? as post-human? I know Cleo also, there's more data, okay, yeah. Yeah, anyone else have thoughts on that question? I can add to it. Yeah, go for it.
So I'm not familiar with those models, but I've done work on several others that wanted to separate the governance power from the original token, which is interesting. It also removes all the utility from the token, but there are multiple models basically trying to recreate the ideal versions of the US government, where you have like one is the like utility / gas token, one is the governance token, and there's a DAO that kind of oversees both the asset. One view with NFTs, one view with tokens, neither being less purchasable. It's interesting. Again, it removes utility. I mean, even in the US, you can buy votes. So however you want to set it up. As for decentralizing validators votes, where validators have probably overrepresented governance power, some kind of simple solutions that we put in Cosmos governance is one, like right now we have validators, we can set commission. That's the only economic thing that's direct, like stopping people from like delegating to different ones. Whereas now it doesn't actually incentivize security, it doesn't raise the Nakamoto coefficients. If we had something like a scaling community pool tax, where it taxes the top validators higher than it taxes the lower validators. So you're actually earn more revenue if you diversify the set better. Furthermore, if a validator is taxed higher, if they steal all the voting power from their community. So like basically both like every single body who delegates to me, if they're not voting and my vote is covering all of their votes, then all of us get taxed higher. So I'm now going to be incentivized to tell everyone in my community, hey, everybody go vote. I don't care how you vote. Here's how I'm voting. Go vote, even if it's the same vote as me. Because if you're voicing your governance power, all of us are going to make more money. It actually incentivizes by us. And if you want to be lazy, cool, great, but all of you are going to make less money. So those are kind of, in my opinion, low-hanging fruit. But at the end of the day, you should have some kind of governor where you can delegate your governance power separate from delegating your tokens, because infrastructure providers are not the best people when it comes to governance and thought leaders. And trying to force them to be one and the same is really a miss.
Real quick, just building off that thought, I don't know too much about this, so maybe it's not as applicable to this as I might think in my head. But what do you think of middle ground-ish systems? Kind of like, I think that's sort of what Kujira markets its Senate sort of thing on, where a little bit like electoral college in America, it's like, I'm not gonna give all the voting power to my validator, but I am going to delegate it just with some more specificity and nuance to someone else. What does anyone on the panel think of that sort of model? And not that one in particular, but that sort of.
I like the idea. I think that's better than what most people have, but especially something that is a permission chain where voter fatigue is an inevitability, then that becomes more important, which is what you're saying.
Voter fatigue is very real, and we've all like seen that, yeah.
You know, I would agree with that sentiment entirely as far as you don't want all the votes to be centralized in any fashion, right? You do want that decentralized. If the token holders can vote, that's great, but the voter fatigue is an interesting thing as well, where you don't want to be submitting too many propositions. You want people to be engaged, you want them to be rewarded for that engagement. I don't know the best way to implement that, I haven't thought of it really, but it is definitely a problem that needs to be improved and solved, certainly.
I'm definitely a big fan of keeping things simple, stupid, you know? So you could try to go and find some complex way, try to sort of say, hey, this is how governance works, or this is how utility works. At the end of the day, if you're running validators, especially on multiple chains, most people work in teams. It's very rare if you have a single guy sort of doing everything. So within most companies, even if it's a validator company, you need a portion of people who are going to focus on governance, what's best for the chain. And I feel like you want me to explain the rules of how it works to people right now. Very simple, you stake with the validator, we trust their views, we trust their votes, everything is transparent, you go with them. So I'm sure other people will try interesting models, but I kind of like the current model, you know? No matter what model we have, people will always find ways to exploit it. The more rules you have, the more opportunity you have to confuse people, and you exploit them further. So for me, just keep it simple, and it works.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, if Josh Lee from Capital Moses had talked about this on Cosmoverse called governators, which is basically abstracting the voting away from the validators and focusing on a group of people. You mentioned Kujira Senate, just to talk about it a little. They actually canceled the program recently because it wasn't working as intended. I mean, it's a complicated topic to solve. It's not as simple as, okay, you guys are gonna vote in.
It may be too much to get into here, but is there maybe a 1 or 2 sentence explanation of how they felt it failed, like what was going wrong?
Sure.
Yeah, that probably would be interesting.
Yeah, the Kujira Senate, basically the idea was, let's try to abstract some of the grant power away from the governance and have it focused on the Senate. And apparently, it went too far ahead of what the initial wanted. Like the explanation was, we're aiming for this to be a beta phase or a phase 1, which is going to be very basic, but the Senate was doing way more than they were supposed to be doing for free as well. They weren't compensated, so they paused it. I mean, it's not council basically, but they paused it. We're going to rethink it again and probably launch it in the future. But again, it's a very complicated subject, how to solve it. And I think it's probably one of the problems that blockchain has to solve, because a lot of what we're aiming to do pivots on governance on that proof of stake and everyone having a voice or a vote, depending on how much you're staking. So if we're aiming to solve that, governance should be a focus. And not many are trying to solve it, and I think it's a missed opportunity right now.
Yeah, and maybe more. So I think governance and voter fatigue is like one major aspect of validators and validation. But the other one that was mentioned by all 4 of you, and which I've seen for the sort of lack of profitability, put bluntly at the moment, in such a wide sweeping sense that you're really only profitable purely from validation if you're in the top 5% of validators. And I'm just going to say in the cosmos in general, because on a large chain like the Hub, the top 10 might be profitable. On smaller chains, it might only be the top 3, 2, whatever. So what I think would be cool is go around, I want to hear from each of you guys, and then also if anyone afterwards in the audience wants to chime in, there's many different potential remedies, some that may go together, some that can be standalone, things like the AEZ and interchain security, the idea of just cutting back on the number of validators per chain, raising the base block fee like you had mentioned. It's a very open-ended question. We'll just like go down the line here. What big picture or small, can be specific, just kind of have an open combo here. How do you think we can fix what we've all learned now after about 2 years is a system that's not quite tuned right? I think we all agree it's not broken, we wouldn't still be here, but some of the parameters, metrics, costs, etc. And maybe part of this conversation is also cloud validation versus hardware, because I know that's a drastically different cost setup and people have different opinions. But yeah, very open-ended, and we'll start here, but yeah.
So we're bare metal, which is that we own all the hardware we validate on. We don't use cloud services, specifically for validation nodes. So that drives the cost down in the long term, but in the short term, it's obviously more expensive. We do it not because of the cost, but simply security reasons. That's our thinking process. And regarding the making it profitable, I think right now validation depended a lot on the market, right? It was profitable on the bull. Obviously on the bear, with the price is down, it's not going to be profitable. There's been talks about reducing sets, like we have huge sets and some that increase costs for everyone. And I think that's worth discussing, but we need tools, and Kakri from Bionos has written a tool and will be releasing soon to bootstrap new validators to join sets so that you don't have to. What happens right now is someone wants to join a set, they do a proposal that to increase the validator set, right? It happens constantly in every chain. Without those proposals, we probably wouldn't have joined most of the chains we're currently on. So it would be hypocritical of me to say, let's reduce all the sets right now. But we do see the downside of increasing the sets, but like I mentioned, the tools that help new validators join that set, I think it's important. Otherwise, you get the same 10 validators in every chain, and that's like probably worse than what we currently have. So we need different tools to help new validators get into the game to keep it fresh in terms of innovation, new teams, new thinking process, and that's the only way we can. So yeah, to make it more profitable, sure, let's reduce the sets, but let's have tools that help us keep the validator sets with new entrants. Crypto Dungeon is pretty new as well on the validation side, and they know how hard it is to get into a set. Well, I think everyone here knows it. But we need tools to do it, right? We can't just rely on increasing the set every time a new guy is coming in, so.
And also, can you remind me, question from a slightly less techy person on that front, as the number of validators that a chain supports increases, does the cost to validate also increase? I know there's some metric that scales pretty
It
hard.
actually increases the storage size, makes the blocks take longer. There's a bunch. It increases everything, right? Because
There's something interesting I've noticed in a very, very general sense, I think, analogies being drawn in your head to many things in life. Usually when you split up a load, it helps. It makes things more efficient, cheaper if you're splitting the cost of things. And so that kind of feels intuitively right. If you don't know that much about the technical side of blockchain, that like, oh, more validators, that should be more efficient. They're sharing the workload. But just like a call out, I wanted to confirm before I said it's kind of the opposite.
it's up to a point, right? Because if 4 people start making a table, let's say, sure, if a fifth joins, it's gonna be easier for everyone. But what if 12 people join?
You barely notice the 12.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not gonna be even doable, like the other person's gonna grab something. It's up to a point, it's more efficient, but I think we haven't found the balance because we've only gone increasing, not decreasing to try to find the sweet spot. But again, we need tools to help us.
And I'd say the only real experimentation with small validator sets I think we've seen, and correct me if I'm forgetting one, but would probably be Say Network, where one of the ways they got the block time they did is through a tiny validator set, which comes with other trade-offs.
UIDX only has 60.
60. Is Say like 20 or 30 though? Don't they do a road? Anyways, we'll get off topic a little. So yeah, on to Risby.
One of the things I really hate about Web3 is people pretend to be Web3 purists, right? Web3 is like business, just like Web2. Essentially, we should be looking at what is something that works previously that we can apply here to really help us. So today, if you go and start a Web2 app, you don't just spin up 10 servers. What you typically do is maybe you might have 2 or 3 for redundancy, and based on the amount of traffic you're getting, you'll auto scale up or down. This helps with cost. This helps with a bunch of other things as well too. Why don't we have that within Cosmos, right? Why the fuck do we have so many empty blocks everywhere? If you have all these empty blocks, having 100 validators, 200 is meaningless, right? It's costing people more and more to run all these useless servers. So this is where I think auto-scaling the validator set would make sense, right? This could be based on signals of maybe block size, maybe some sort of financial data. This way, it can be profitable to run chains. The last thing you really want is for a chain where it's only profitable for 5 people. What if almost everyone quits because it's not profitable anymore? Now you're putting that security at risk. So we should be looking more at things that work outside of Web3 and trying to apply it here. That's obviously not going to be like a silver bullet that solves everything, but that is something that I feel like is truly needed, especially if Cosmos is going to continuously having shit ton of chains, forever. So I'll leave it there.
I can't reinforce that philosophy enough though of just, I think people fall into a trap in crypto of wanting to reinvent the wheel on everything, when in reality I think blockchain is just as useful at augmenting and improving existing systems, and bringing things that we know work in is not something we should be scared of. We don't need to build everything from scratch. So I'm a big fan of that philosophy.
I'll echo what the first gentleman said again too, and we're also bare metal, and I think I prefer that as well for security reasons and just maintaining your own equipment and security and whatnot. But it is kind of hypocritical to want to reduce the set, especially when we were floundering, especially in Cosmos at the bottom, but it does make some sense. It also reads competition at the bottom. It also helps I think the chain in general. Because, as we're struggling, quote unquote, we're also putting more liquidity into the chain. But where you find that happy medium, that's beyond me.
Well, I want to make sure we don't, I might have phrased something wrong. I don't want us to get stuck in the trench of validator size. I have a bigger question of profitability. So maybe that's charging more fees per transaction, or maybe that's something like interchain security or totally new, outside of just changing the set size. Thoughts on profitability?
Yeah, it basically is, what's the entry to get into the chain, and then will that be profitable? Or do you have to be, 20 up in the bottom to be profitable? Where's that profitability line at? And is that where you cut the number of validators? Maybe that's the point, or maybe that's the equation at least. Then
It's part of it for sure, yeah. Long part.
Yeah.
Stakers should not get positive net yield. Everyone thinks that they should. They shouldn't. Validators are an expense on the network. It's the network's job to try to minimize that expense. Look at how well Kujira did it. They united the community around inflation bad, which they have a point, and validators operated at a loss. I run a validator for Astrovault. We're happy to run it at a loss because we have to do that as an expense for our business to work. Now, if we can charge enough to be profitable, great, but it's worth it for our business. There are plenty of other businesses. TFM is like one of the top relayers in all of Cosmos. They didn't do it because they wanted to for the good of the people. Their business model required good relaying. It wasn't happening. They're like, screw it, we'll pay the money to do it ourselves. Like, that's how you scale businesses. As we grow the Cosmos ecosystem, as we get real businesses to come, not everybody needs decentralization. Real businesses that adopt to Web3, they can get by on a single sequencer. If they build an app chain, they could get by on maybe three validators for redundancy. But they might not want to not have 80+% of the tokens, and that's okay. So Kujira, since then, they were at risk of losing the security of validators saying hey, we can't afford to keep doing this expense. We've been doing it from the good of our hearts. That's not good enough. And they're like, okay, we'll give you guys stipends. So now they're paying very little, and in essence, it's super low inflation from how the rest of the Cosmos would experience it. Super low inflation with 100% commission for validators. Why aren't we normalizing commission higher than 10%? If you're going to lower inflation by 50%, double commission, and validators are still making as much profit as they had been if they're profitable. Maybe the bottom validators shouldn't be in profit. If we have too many validators anyways, maybe we should encourage more to not make it out. This is an expense. It's our job as stewards of the protocol to minimize expenses and maximize revenue.
Awesome. So anyone? Yeah, give it up. This is really great answers. Anyone in the audience have thoughts or want to chime in? Cool. So slight change in topic, although maybe your answer will be in the same vein. Where do you hope to see the direction of Cosmos going as it relates to proof of stake systems in general and validation? Whether this is to Tendermint, the SDK, more basic high-level tokenomics changes, as people who are validating every day as a large part of what you do and maintain, you're in the weeds with this stuff. What do you hope to see come, whether it's, could be a technological type upgrade that's technical, or culture shift, or everyone agreeing that the fees are too low, that sort of thing. So again, sort of open-ended question. As validators, where do you guys want to see Cosmos? Sure, we can start with Felicia. Okay, we're doing that. Same rotation.
I think relayers in general haven't been focused on the technological aspect. Is it kind of solved with the new IBC versions that are coming that include some revenue for it? for relayers, but I think relaying in general should be more of a focus because all of Cosmos depends on it basically. And
Could you actually give, I'm sure most people in this room are already aware of this stuff, but I actually know some people aren't, and we have the stream going, and this is why I was asked to do this.
Chat stop slouching, by the way. Just letting you know.
Who? Everyone?
Yeah.
Maybe you could just real quickly touch on, I don't think a lot of people fully understand what relayers are and how they aren't necessarily the exact same thing as validators. I'm sure most people in this room know nuances, but I think it would be good quickly before we get into that, because I've heard that a lot, and I have a feeling other people might have thoughts on relaying, so. You can probably explain it better
so
than I.
basically you can relay without being a validator, but you actually need a node in both chains to relay a packet. But right now, most, I think, all chains, the relayer bears the cost of that relay, of that IBC transaction. And I think just Juno recently do it that they remove the cost from the Juno side, and you send stuff that's zero cost for them. But in general, the relayer has to pay that. So those add-on relayers that from the custom stuff, they pay a lot of money from their own pocket to be there. They have their reasons as well, and some actually get some level of compensation for doing it, but a lot of them just do it, for the.
It needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we don't get IBC.
Right, yeah, so to just like clarify, validators and validation in its purest form, when you do a transaction, let's say I'm sending you Juno on Juno or interacting with data out, you pay a fee on that, and that does go towards validators. In some chains cases, some might go to the community pool or something, but it's not the case with IBC transactions. It's different. I actually only learned this like maybe 6 months ago, that relaying at its core, the act of letting IBC work, letting one chain talk to another, tokens and messages pass between, that's not getting reimbursed by the Keller pop-up you sign up or whatever wallet you use when you pay a fee. That's something that the person relaying it, often a validator, is just doing out of pocket. And I wanted to, I guess, take a little aside on that because I've talked to many validators just over the past year, and this is a big point that I think is often brought up, that that's a critical piece of what makes Cosmos Cosmos. Other ecosystems have proof of stake as their consensus mechanism. You could argue Tendermint's better, but really our bread and butter is IBC. It's chains being able to talk together and function like they're one. So the fact that, like your first instinct there was to say, we need to focus on relayers more, is almost a little shocking when you understand what relayers are. They're like the lifeblood of what makes Cosmos special and why we're all here. So I just want to take a moment to like clarify relayers, because I was not that knowledgeable myself about them until a few months ago. So for maybe some people on the stream or people who were in my position, just a little like, yeah.
Yeah, and with ICA and ICQ, that actually that compounds the problem more because you need more IBC transactions, more messages going through. And if it's not sustainable, then there will be a point that it breaks, We haven't reached that point, and some people think that the layers should still be, paying by themselves, but I think there's a lot of discussion that needs to be done. There's some solutions coming, but everyone to upgrade their IBC channel, which is a whole other thing. There's a lot of technical debt that has to be updated, but yeah, my idea is we should focus on relaying and solving that issue.
Just to follow up on that, like we want to run relayers, but we're just starting to get not even profitable to get there, and that's our next step. That we can't do that right from the start. You can't just start doing relaying unless you can absorb that cost. Yeah, makes a change.
Yeah, go for it, Eric.
Relaying is imperative. The direction we're going with it is atrocious, and it needs to be fixed. If anyone out there has any power in this case, we need better central planning for a decentralized ecosystem. Polkadot had one single relayer channel every single like Polkadot chain just needed one relayer. Right now we've got what 80 something IBC compatible chains. If you want to connect to everyone, you need 80 something relayers. What are the costs? $200 to $500 a month. And we want to be the internet of blockchains where we have 1,000 chains. Now you need 999 relayers costing you $200 plus $1,000 per month per chain. We need ports, and the less ports we have, the more efficient it functions. Why not make the Cosmos Hub the single relayer channel that everybody has? Everybody has one relayer channel, all go to the hub, and it just takes 2 routes. And now you save a crap ton of money as a network, and you still get what you need. You can enable redundancy where you need it for individual packets. You don't have this weird liquidity fragmentation where you've got access to USDC in 4 different places. You can't send it from one place to the other because it has to route 4 different ways first. Like, it's not only is it not safe, it just doesn't make sense. If you had a board of directors, if you had a business that was building something out like this, you're like, I could save not only 90% of my money right now, but I could save 100% of my money ongoing while building something that has better monitoring, less client expiry for premium services. That makes a lot more sense. IBC is our product. That is something that we have to figure out.
So dumb question, is redundancy not really an issue? Because when I first learned Polkadot had one, relayer channel, my initial impression was, that seems bad. That seems like a bottleneck, a point of failure. But is that not necessarily, I don't know.
You can have a bunch of redundancy on the same channel. I mean, and other ways for redundancy is like, say, I'm building something with Archway, I want to interact with Jackal directly. Maybe for simplicity's sake, we accepted Jackal token as Jackal to Atom to Archway, and that's just what everyone does for the actual tokens. But as far as actual data packets, we can still have an Archway Jackal packet without needing 999 relayers, because we're only working with them and with noise and with like Hive. We don't need everything. There is a channel for everything, and then you can have a single channel for the couple things that.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, did anyone not get a chance to speak on that one? If you want to, no pressure. But do you have any thoughts there?
I don't have any thoughts on relayers, but I do feel like one of the big things I would like to see fixes in Cosmos is killing the gatekeepers. And the way I was mean by that is, if you look at it on Ethereum, for example, one Etherscan, everything's available there. There's no premium. You don't have to pay anything. But what happens on the Cosmos side? Kujira, for example, refused to give Cosmos Station a huge delegation, so they got removed from Netscan, right? You could argue, hey, they're a private business, they do whatever they want, but that harms the ecosystem. So when I look for transaction hash now that includes Kujira, I'm missing that. I gotta go track down their own finder. Another example of this is Helper Wallet. It's the IBC wallet, but they have a very disgusting habit of charging projects hundreds of thousands of dollars to be listed, right? If you want to make this ecosystem accessible, you can't fucking do that. And what happened? Apple said, hey, you can't do that, remove that, and now Kepler is so much better. You can go add your own application and easily access everything. So just continuously making, Cosmos more accessible, that's how you bring people in. That's how you make this ecosystem grow.
How crazy is it that centralized evil Apple was of course the bigger package? Yeah, kind of ironic. We'll hear a story like that too often, I bet. So okay, we're probably getting towards the end of our time slot for this. I want to open just anyone out there has any questions, validator centric or thoughts to bring up, and of course anyone on stage if there's something we didn't touch on. Yeah.
Eric, you had some great topics I have heard people discuss a lot. I wanted to ask if you think IBC middleware directly addresses your concerns, or if you believe, as you pointed out, that the IBC router needs to be solved from an entirely different paradigm.
The different paradigm is the most efficient. The IBC router is laissez-faire. Coming here, which now you get the same issues that we're talking about with profitability for validators. It is a step in a better direction. I don't think it's a good enough step, but it's better. Basically, it means that channels will exist if they're profitable too. Same way, like right now, we're saying baby chains will exist if they're profitable too, but we have a ton of chains with empty block space. So we're going to have a ton of relayers with empty blocks. Relayers are still going to be operated at expense that aren't necessarily profitable, so maybe they shut down. We've been live for 3 months before and had 2 clients expire 2 relay channels. It sucks. So maybe we just operate them ourselves as an expense. How much of that expense are we willing to eat before we just don't service it for clients? So it's going to be difficult about I totally agree about Kepler, about the mint scan thing with Fujira. if we all have to delegate a large amount to Midscan to get listed and Kujira doesn't, well, now we're eating their expense. So we do need some kind of like, yeah, if they get to not have inflation and not pay an expense as a community, there should be some level of cost to that we don't have to burden for them. Or maybe they do a manual grant the same way they are doing their validators. We need better modus operandi, and we need them to be understood and enacted fairly. And we're not doing that in Cosmos right now.
That's a good answer, I think that, yeah. Any other closing thoughts, something we didn't touch on, that any of you guys would like to bring up? We don't have a hard time on it, but, if I think if everyone feels good, we can probably wrap this up. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Thank the panel up here for participating. Continue quite literally being what lets Cosmos run and lets all of us have a reason to be here today. So like a big thank you to you guys, anyone else who's involved with validation, and just in general, everyone who's built the amazing Cosmos that has brought us all together here today. So thank you all very much, and I'll pass this off to John.
All right, everybody, we've got one more speaker before we close out the day, and then we will show some clips from sponsors that couldn't be here up for the audience. We did play some of them on the live stream where it was allowed. But before I bring on the next speaker, Rizvi, you used some language up here that maybe you should apologize for. He said Kujira twice on a live stream.
That's my channel. If he said it a third time, I was like, they're gonna yank my sponsorship.
Yeah, he didn't mean to say Kujira in a Cosmos focused event, but that's okay. For better or for worse, the validators really run the networks. They do a lot of things that the users just don't understand. So that was a nice panel to change things up. But we're gonna finish off with Jorge from Stargaze to round out our day and bring the topic back to NFTs.
Hi everyone. Coming from Stargaze, very much like if you have launched a collection or interacted with requests in the future, you probably speak on this forum. So today I'm going to talk about dynamic NFTs. But what really dynamic NFTs are. So far, like there is like this static NFTs where it's just essentially like an image, you have all the trace, the metadata, and probably on Stargaze you already interacted with a couple dynamic NFTs. So there's this concept of XNFTs or dynamic NFTs. On Solana they call it XNFTs because they're like for executable NFTs, which essentially allows certain apps or marketplaces to execute the content of the NFT. It can be I don't know, like a mini game or something more interactive. On Stargaze, we have the same concept of dynamic NFTs, and they have been around since 2022. So it started like as little as this is the first collection that kind of like introduced the concept of dynamic NFTs on Stargaze. It's called Galaxy Houses, and essentially, if you buy an NFT and you see it during the day, it will have like this image. But if you go and see it at night, it will switch, right? So this is like a very tiny difference in the NFT, but it's like some sort of being more dynamic. pretty much a lot of you probably know about Pixel Wizards. So it was the second collection that introduced a little bit more of this dynamic NFTs concept from Stargaze. Essentially, what this NFT does is like it has access to external data. Like in this case, you can see like the wizard will tell you what's the price of Bitcoin. So there is like a different NFTs. Like for example, you can buy for Bitcoin or for Atom or for Osmo, and it will tell you the price. It will also react to different keys. Like you can press like key W, R, and get like a different settings where you can interact. It will take like the hat or throw like a spell. So that's kind of like the stuff like these NFTs do. And it also introduced like some Easter eggs. So you on certain days you will find like it's probably Gary from DCC sometimes, or it's just a meme, or and one day it can just be a new Pixel Wizard. So the next iteration of Dynamics NFTs on Stargaze are these mini games. So we work closely with creators, and we get a lot of feedback of what they want to do on Stargaze. And some of these new things they want to do, they don't exist, but when we get approached by them, we say, well, okay, yeah, this is what we can probably do and add it to our web page. So we work very closely with creators in order to provide them what they need. In the sense of mini games, for example, you can buy your mini games. This was actually an open edition minter, so anyone can mint the same NFT. So it's actually the same game. But the difference is like only the owner of the NFT can play it. So you have to actually log into your wallet in order to play it. So that introduces like a different level of authorization system, or this being more dynamic. So what we want to do is how can we on the Stargaze evolve this dynamic NFTs concept? And a few ideas that we have been working on Stargaze is being able to verify this ownership, right? Currently, the example like gave before, it's a mini game, and you can only play it if you are the owner, but this is only enforced on our website, right? So if you have like direct access to the link, you can still like pass that and play it, but don't tell anyone. So what we want you to do is like a way to interact with the wallet on the Stargaze website. So like the NFT can request signing into the app and say, yeah, I want to verify that you are actually the owner of the NFT, right? So like the NFT will interact with the core website and request signing. The other way will be like introducing like micropayments. So for example, if you're a mini game, you'll say like, well, it will cost you like 10 stars to run like for 10 games or whatever. So we can introduce like this sort of micropayments. The next will be signing in or creating like game sessions. One thing specific to this type of dynamic NFTs is like they run as small websites on Manifest. So they are actually like HTMLs, like a full websites. But if the way it works on Stargaze is that they are introduced as iframes, so they don't really have access to store data. For example, if you are playing a game and you got like a good score, you cannot save that data because if we cannot give access to store data on your browser. So the next thing will be introducing an API that can actually provide this service to the NFT to store like scores or the leaderboard, you have access. And with verification, then it introduces like this some sort of verification where they cannot cheat the API to score this. The next step is introducing like self-mutating NFTs. So we have had a couple of review later collections, where first you will mint the NFT and it's just a placeholder that you do later at a later time. But what happens is like the creator needs to reveal the later the NFT, so it's not into the control of the owner to reveal it. Or you have to kind of like write like a different website like where you can sign in and reveal the NFT. But we wanted to use this version on Stargaze, where you can mint the NFT and based on the contract, for example, later you can sell, reveal your NFT or mutate the trades, like for example, if it is a game or something, you can like level up your NFT. So this is some of the functionality. The other thing is notifications. I think it would be cool if you receive like a notification from your favorite NFT. For example, if it is your cat, for example, you say, oh yeah, you can, hey, you haven't shipped out or something. You can control, or the way it will work is like the NFT will request access similar to how the apps work on iOS or Android, where you specifically need to give access or grant access to NFT to send notifications. And you are in control at all times that you can bulk access to NFTs. So later, like you can send, or the artists of the NFT have access to or APIs send notification. This will introduce like the next level of gamification for creating that rotation, like coming back and check your NFTs at later time. So with this, we wanted to use like later in the near future, like this Stargaze NFT SDK. So this will allow creators to use like TypeScript SDK to interact with your website. So to do all that I showed up before, like for example, requesting ownership verification or granting to notifications, or even like exploring API if you want to do like game sessions or leaderboards. And also like all the micropayments, like you need to have some sort of credits in order to play the game, or like even like level up your NFT if it is some sort of NFT like that, like different enhancement like you can buy for your own NFT. All this that I've talked before happens kind of like at the client level, so it's like the HTML and or the NFT itself that will do all these dynamic interactions. But the next thing will be how can we create new contracts that are actually doing this on chain? So, for example, at the contract level, we'll need to allow the owner of the NFT to mutate the NFT. In the case of the first case is self-reviewing, but what if you want to modify some trade based on certain conditions? You can probably do that. The other way could be, we have on Stargaze, we have a module called Cron, where you can subscribe to receive like automated actions. In the future, this can be like a feature that you can pay or subscribe to the CTI. Like for example, like you don't even need to deploy like a backend that will trigger an action, but the chain itself can execute that automated action if you pay a fee to execute it.
You know, they switch mics, just don't like bugs or something.
And the last one will be subscribing to oracles. Like what if the NFT can be modified on certain conditions? Like for example, you have a pixel wizard that is tracking Bitcoin, right? What if Bitcoin suddenly drops to 5K? Then you can probably say like, oh, just spawn the NFT goes below the price or something like that, right? So this is some of the functionality we wanted to use. I want to keep it super short, but hope you want or have an idea or something you want to do or launch a collection that can use any of these features, you can reach out on Twitter or on Discord.
Yes, please. All right, everybody.
All right, everybody, that was our last planned speaker, so we really appreciate it. We're gonna be able to play a couple videos that we got last minute from sponsors that couldn't be here. We just wanted to take the last opportunity to say thanks to people that actually showed up. I know it's a trek for a lot of people. Some people came from different countries. Some people drove, 10 plus hours to get here. Other people flew when it was inconvenient. So really appreciate everybody that came.
Yeah, we had people.
I'm loud enough.
Yeah, I'm loud enough. We had people, what was the furthest we had people? Guatemala? Are they more work now? Yeah. What was the furthest we had people traveling for this event? I heard Guatemala. Was anybody traveling further than that? Louis, anybody else? Both of y'all came from, that's amazing. That is amazing. That's dedication. But no, we really do appreciate it. We are going to be playing a couple of slides, like Joe said. Guys, the idea is to expand on this and to grow. Joe, myself, Gaines, we are already looking forward to 2024. I've already said it before, Bitcoin conference. Regardless if we get a satellite event or if we just do it neighboring up to them, regardless of how this is my city. They're coming here. I already have places and events and contacts, so it's going to happen no matter what. And we will be expanding on the topics as well. I know Kaku is
And our
saying.
team, I think we're gonna add Timmy, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah, I know Tim was.
Timmy was supposed to just be a guest and we put him to work and he, I think we would have a lot of trouble if he wasn't here.
Yeah, for sure. But this was definitely a delight. We are heading up to Nashville. Games, are we surviving again? Is that what we're trying to? We're gonna break this streak. If you guys haven't, I really would love to see all of you guys out there. It's amazing, especially on a Saturday night. It's basically like mini Las Vegas. We call it Nash Vegas. If you haven't experienced it, I promise you, it won't let you down. Just come out for a little bit. We also, I'm inviting just about everybody that wants to my downtown condo. It's a penthouse condo suite, it's fairly large, beforehand. So if you guys want to just meet up there and have some drinks and just kind of chat, kick it, do whatever you guys want to do before you head out there. It's like a 5-minute walk to downtown. So yeah. But with that being said, thank you very much.
I appreciate it. I didn't know chit chat was two different things.
Chat. The parking situation is way better than anywhere else. So if you guys are going to be going, feel free to come and use the parking situation. I'll get you guys all in to get some parking.
We'll chat.
Chit and chat. We're boomers, okay? That's what they call us.
Chit chat.
But yeah, you guys enjoy this while we're wrapping up. Feel free to cut up for a little long. We have it for a little bit longer. We have some drinks that are left over. Feel free to take them. But if you guys want to watch, this is OhhNFT. I think we got one from Maria. And are we showing Sisless? You got Sisless?
We have it.
We're going to show you guys Sisless as well. All right. This is pretty good. Oh, yeah, if you want to show it, if you want to shut it down, it's fine.
We go.
Sonic game.